I don't believe that Quantum Riddler belongs in Artist Talent Storm and Legacy. Today, we're going to find out if I'm wrong. In front of you is Artist Talent Storm, and it comes today as a donation deck from Matthew Story. Matthew, thank you for your continued support. And Matthew is a stern believer that Quantum Riddler does belong in Artist Talent Storm. So in my last video, which you can find in the card above, which was also a donation deck from Matthew, Matthew loved Artist Talent, obviously, but in conjunction with Quantum Riddler, because when you do get Hellbent, you get to go bananas. My summary at the end was that I believe that this card is pretty win more because it's kind of bad before you've actually assembled the full combo. It ends up just being like 2 mana, draw card a lot of the time. And there was some discussion in the Stormtrooper section of the Discord where a few members believed I was playing it wrong. I don't believe so. I think that this card is truly not that great unless you're already doing the thing, and you shouldn't be playing cards that are only good when you're already ahead, which is sort of what Quantum Riddler is to me. It's not really a card that's great when you're behind or mid combo. It's really good when you're sort of out of the game, I'll say, when you have absolutely no hand and there's not a lot going on because it is 2 mana draw 2. Well, that's certainly better. But a lot of the time you have a couple cards stranded in your hand like spare defense grids or stock ups or whatever, and then the Quantum Riddler does next to nothing. And unlike Stock Up, which is fantastic, Quantum Riddler doesn't dig for Lion's Eye Diamond or Echo of Eons. So Stock Up is this amazing consistency piece where Quantum Riddler isn't. So I believe that the deck should be playing Stock Up and no Quantum Riddlers. If I was playing my own list today, I'd be playing Burning Wish because I actually really liked the Burning Wish list that I played on this channel as well. But not my deck list today. We're playing Matthew's list featuring the Quantum Riddler. I'm going to try to be open-minded. I'm going to acknowledge when Quantum Riddler is good and then when it's not so great. And hopefully by the end of this video, we'll have a little bit more data on whether or not the card belongs in this deck. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. I know it's a little bit of a contentious topic among us Storm fans, and more input is always welcome. So thanks for watching. Matthew, thank you for the donation deck. Everyone like, comment, subscribe, all that great stuff, and I'll see all of you in match number 1. Don't go anywhere. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. You can also show your support by becoming a member of this channel. You get sweet perks such as badges, emotes, early access to videos, exclusive members-only content, and access to our members Discord section. As you increase the tiers, there are other rewards such as shop discounts, cyborg guides, and even free donation decks. Click the join button down below to find out more. We also have other ways you can support us, like theepicstorm.com/shop or submitting a donation deck via theepicstorm.com/donation decks. That's enough for now. Let's play some Magic. Match number 1, we're on the play. And I have faced our opponent multiple times in the past, and they're usually, and I say usually because it's not a guarantee, but they're usually on they're usually on lands. We're the ones playing Artist Talent Storm today. This hand is incredible. What a hand to start off a league with. Alright, so we'll begin by playing Urza Saga. This will trigger Lion's Eye Diamond. Typically, you do not have to worry about Force of Vigor in game number 1. And now we'll play, undo. Play the Mox Opal. Sorry, in my head I was trying to cast Rite of Flame. So now we'll play the Rite of Flame, play the Artist Talent, and now we'll Echo. So you might be saying, why not change your sequencing in order to get a couple triggers off the Artist Talent there? Like, you could have discarded the Lion's Eye Diamond, for example. And I think that's a fair question to ask. My reality or my concern, what if your opponent's playing a main deck Endurance? And all of a sudden you just get punished for some reason you didn't need to do that, I guess is my point. There was no justification to open yourself up to losing that way. That's my big concern there. So I don't think that you should put yourself in a losing position just because you wanted an extra card that you really didn't need. Now we'll play Lion's Eye Diamond, discard a Rite of Flame, another Artist Talent. Okay, let's play the Artist Talent, discard the Mox Opal, and now we'll play Rite of Flame, discard Volcanic Island. Alright, we're going to do what everyone else wants me to do. We're going to keep the Quantum Riddler here, and then we'll warp the Quantum Riddler. We'll draw 2. Play the diamond. I'm going to continue to not lose to endurance here. I'm going to keep the spare echo in hand. Now we'll play Lotus Petal, discard the Gamble, discard Mox Opal. We'll play Lion's Eye Diamond. And obviously, when you're in these spots, Quantum Riddler looks incredible. But what are the odds that double Echo plus double Artist Talent didn't already win? That's sort of one of the things that I've been saying is like, it's good when you're already ahead. We'll exile Simian Spirit Guide, and we'll flash back an Echo here. And they just concede. Sure, I'm good with that. Alright, so we likely want Boomerang Basics versus this deck. It's interesting. So my gut tells me that you want to board out Defense Grid. Defense Grid is good versus Force of Vigor. It's good versus Endurance, but it's not really a card you want to cast in the matchup. Some of these lands builds do have Pyroblast in the sideboard. I don't know which version our opponent is on, but I do know that I don't want Pirate Spellbomb. That can get out of the deck. We might want the Haywire Might, but it's not super reliable in this matchup because our green mana is either the one of Spire of Industry that is bad versus Wasteland, or it's Mox Opal, which, if, like, they'd have to have exactly a Sphere of Resistance for that play to make sense, I think. So I don't think I'm going to bring in the Haywire Might. You might be able to shave down to, like, 2 defense grids. They can have Grafdigger's Cage, so you do not want to cut the Runehorn Hellkite. It might be crazy. I think that boarding out Inursa's Saga could be fine. With them being the Wasteland Beseiju deck, Urza's Saga is not likely going to be a plane that works anyway. So I don't mind getting rid of it. And wow, what a hand. This is turn 1 Artist Talent thanks to the Simian Spirit Guide into Echo. We'll keep this. One thing that I really liked about Matthew's list when he submitted it was that it did have Simian Spirit Guides in it. We talked, and we originally had 4, but then we added Rite of Flame back in, and I felt like 4 Rite of Flame, 4 Simian Spirit Guide was a lot. In order to do that, I think you actually need to cut a land, and Matthew liked 11 lands. So I don't think that, like, having 4 of each would be really nice for explosiveness, but I think as long as you have a bunch of real lands in your deck, you shouldn't play both unless you're, like, you can't cut action for it, I guess is my point. Our opponent mulliganed to 4 and played a turn 1 Mox Diamond. Disruptor Flute, okay. And they named Lion's Eye Diamond. That's not very nice. We'll play the Urza Saga. They have no hand whatsoever. And then we'll exile Simian Spirit Guide. We'll play Artist Talent. We'll Mox Opal. We know that they currently don't have a Surgical Extraction in their hand, so I'm going to get rid of an Echo. And unfortunately, I have to pass the turn. They play a Rumble, and they have Damping Sphere in their deck. Okay, they chose the Damping Sphere. I have the Boomerang Basics, but I currently can't go off. Alright, so I think we have to pass the turn in this spot. Can't do anything. Although when the Saga goes off, I could do something, I believe. They play the Damping Sphere. So I tap, I could go get a Diamond, and I could Echo, but I lose the Boomerang Basics. No more mana. That's disappointing. So, like, I could get a Chrome Mox here, and then bounce the Damping Sphere, but I still can't play Diamond. They have no hand. They did hit a Life from the Loam last time. We'll grab a Diamond, and I think I'm supposed to just pass again. Like, I don't really want to Echo here, because if I Echo, I'm going to be stuck in a spot where I can't beat the Damping Sphere. And right now, they're just on dredging Life from the Loam each turn or taking a draw step. And I feel like I'm better off just hitting a 0 and then opening up my possibilities. Alright, so they drew a Lava Spur Boots. So if they grab Expedition Map, they're off the Saga, they're pretty close to killing me. Ancient Tomb. What does that do? If I play out the Ancient Tomb, they can dredge Life from the Loam and get back Ghost Quarter. And I don't have any basics in my deck. I think I'm going to wait a turn. We'll just pass. Alright, they make a 5/5 construct. Urza Saga goes to the 3rd chapter. They make another construct. We have a lot of 0 mana artifacts I could draw that would completely open up this game for us. I guess they could grab a Soul Guide Lantern. They didn't. They needled Artist Talent, so I can't level it up anymore, I suppose. They could have gone Soul Guide Lantern and hit the Echo in my graveyard. I go to 5. We drew another Ancient Tomb. Alright, so I can't play the Boomerang Basics here. We just drew straight blanks. So we're in a really not great spot. I could flashback the Echo. Oh, Damping Sphere means the tomb only caps for 1. I think we're actually just locked out. I can't beat the Damping Sphere. I'm not going to be able to Boomerang Basics on the Damping Sphere after we draw 7. If I had realized this, I would have played the land last turn. And now when I go to play this, I'm a mana short. Yeah. Alright. I didn't consider that with my land drop. So that's on me. That stunk. Alright, let's bring in the Haywire Might, I suppose. I'm gonna board out another defense grid. You know what? I'm gonna do no defense grids. I just don't think it's a card I want. And I didn't see any red out of them, so I'm not worried about Pyroblast. We'll try this. On the play. Hide our sideboard. Alright, so this hand does nothing. The Quantum Riddler does not help here. Although if it was a Burning Wish, like I suggested in the deck tech, this is probably a turn 1 win. I think we have to mulligan. Unfortunate. We can't cast any of our spells. I think we have to go to 5. This is a turn 1 Echo. We're going to keep this. Get rid of the stock ups. Our opponent is on 6 cards. We'll play Lotus Petal, Lion's Eye Diamond, and now we'll gamble. They've been pausing, so it sort of gives me the read that they have a Force of Vigor. But we'll find out. Spin the wheel on Echo. Storm is 5. Okay. I can go Rite of Flame, Artist Talent, Chrome Mox. I think that's the play here. Once again, I'm terrified of Force of Vigor, but I can't afford to play around it. So we'll play the Artist Talent, play the Chrome Mox. Artist Talent triggers. We'll get rid of... You know, everyone wants me to do the Quantum Riddler thing, so let's play towards it here. Alright, so we'll play Boomerang Basic, or exile the Boomerang Basics. So I think in order for this to work, I can play the Chrome Mox, but I'd have to discard the Diamond and draw an Imprintable. We'll play the Chrome Mox, discard Lion's Eye Diamond. Lotus Petal works here. We'll play the Petal. I have to keep the Quantum Riddler and hope that we draw a 0 that I can cast off the Riddler. Okay, let's see it. Alright, so we managed to hit here. So we'll discard Gamble, and then we bricked. Okay, so we got 1 trigger, but even with assembling the combo, it was not good enough. I have to pass the turn. And now Quantum Riddler is in exile. They play Besage Who Endures as a land, Exploration, Caracas, Lava Spur Boots. Okay. Exile Simian Spirit Guide, play the Rite of Flame, discard Artist Talent. We had another Riddler. I was thinking about casting the one from exile, but then we drew another one. Alright, so we'll warp this Quantum Riddler, and now we'll get 2 draws with 2 red floating. Another Diamond, discard the Boomerang Basics. We can Runehorn Hellkite now. We'll add red, and then we'll add blue. The problem, if they didn't have Force of Vigor, they're probably going to have it after I give them a new hand. One cool thing about this situation, though, the Runehorn Hellkite is drawing cards, so I'll actually get an extra card off the Quantum Riddler. We'll play Ancient Tomb as our land for the turn. We'll play a Mox Opal. Discard Ancient Tomb. Let's play... I really don't want to level up the Artist Talent because once again, I'm trying to not play into Force of Vigor. Let's warp another Quantum Riddler, I guess. Draw a card. It's a stock up. Play Lion's Eye Diamond. Discard Urza Saga. I think I'm just going to spin Echo here. And now with 2 Riddlers in play, this should be a draw 9. Okay, so we did draw 9. And obviously, when you get the thing going, it's very powerful. I'm not trying to take it away. It's just, is it good before you get going? That's what we're trying to figure out here. Lotus Petal. Rite of Flame. Discard Volcanic Island. And our opponent has conceded the match. Alright, well, I like winning. So that's great. And we're now 1-0 in this Legacy League. Moxfield.com is the easiest way to build a Magic deck online. They support over 30 formats, including Legacy and many other Eternal formats. There are so many options to view decks the way that you want, from text view to individual cards, mana value, and even card price. There's also light mode and dark mode. My personal favorite feature is card tags. This way you can sort cards by function. Moxfield supports collection tracking, Scryfall search, decklist feedback, and so much more. Follow me on Moxfield.com so you can stay updated on all of my decks. Match number 2, our opponent has revealed a Yorion Sky Nomad, so it could be Death and Taxes, it could be Control, not really sure. We've opened up a hand that has turn 1 defense grid into Lotus Petal Mox Opal that would have Metalcraft because of the defense grid, and then you have turn 2 stock up. I like that, I'm going to keep. If they are playing Death and Taxes, the question becomes, do you still play the turn 1 defense grid, or do you turn 1 stock up off the Lotus Petal? They play a Plains and Aether Vial, so this is Death and Taxes. Also, this is the Plains that I use, the Invasion Basic by John Avon. All of my basic lands are in the Invasion ones, and Lion's Eye Diamond was a huge draw here, because now I can stock up off of the Mox Opal without getting rid of the Lotus Petal, and we're just digging for an Echo of Eons. Stock up. Did not hit. So I could take Artist Talent and Diamond, and then try to Talent plus Diamond, Talent plus Riddler next turn. I think that's the move. Pass the turn. So I do know that a lot of these newer Death and Taxes builds are not playing Spirit of the Labyrinth or Thalia, Guardian of Thraben anymore. They're more of just like an energy deck with Broadside Bombardiers. I don't know if that's what this person is playing. It's tough to say. They play Prismatic Vista. They use the Aether Vial, Guide of Souls, so it is the more energy build for a basic mountain. So this is probably the Broadside Bombardiers build. And then they have a Lion Sash, yeah. Alright. Another Quantum Riddler. So let's play the Artist's Talent. Play Lion's Eye Diamond. There's no point in playing out the Riddler first because I won't get the triggers off it. Alright, so now I can exile Spirit Guide, which works well with emptying your hand for Riddler. I will say that. Alright, so now when I play one of these Riddlers, I will draw 2. So the question is, am I supposed to sacrifice a diamond here? I don't think so. 2 mana is plenty. Draw 2. We'll play the Chrome Mox. Auto yield to this trigger. I'm going to discard the Quantum Riddler. Chrome Mox happens. Imprint, gamble. Actually, no. We have a red floating. Okay, so I'm sorry. When I said imprint, I didn't think we had red. So I'm going to keep the gamble. We'll play another Chrome Mox. Discard the defense grid. Imprint the Rite of Flame. And now we'll gamble. Discard Urza's Saga. We hit an Echo. Not even sure what I would want here. Maybe another Rite of Flame. Alright, Rite of Flame goes to the graveyard. We'll play a Rite of Flame. Discard the Echo. And now we'll play another Rite of Flame. Discard the defense grid. We'll play Gamble. Discard the Spire of Industry. Okay. We'll grab maybe another Artist Talent. We discard the defense grid. That was best case scenario. Let's discard the diamond. And now we'll gamble. Discard the Ancient Tomb. Discard Volcanic Island. And now we'll loot again. Now gamble resolves. Let's grab... Storm's only 11. Maybe another Lion's Eye Diamond. We discard the Lion's Eye Diamond. Okay. Let's level up Artist Talent. And I can now play the Pyrite Spellbomb for free. Discard the Stock Up. Discard Runehorn Hellkite. Play the Mox Opal. Discard Artist Talent. Discard... No. Stock Up. Keep the new one. We'll play Chrome Mox. Discard the Ancient Tomb. Discard Volcanic Island. We will imprint the Simian Spirit Guide. 16 cards left in the deck. So we're going to draw the Grape Shot at some point. Discard Urza's Saga. Discard the Quantum Riddler. Okay, we'll imprint the other Quantum Riddler. Play Lotus Petal. Discard the Echo. Discard Urza's Saga. Alright, we're at 8 cards left in deck. Storm is 16. I have 4 mana sources in play. So the Artist Talent probably gets me there. We'll play the Artist Talent. Discard Echo. Discard Ancient Tomb. Play the Lotus Petal. This is from 18. Discard the Echo. Discard Stock Up. Discard Gamble. Alright, I have 1 card left in my deck. I don't want to draw anymore. We'll play the Mox Opal. I'm going to say no. We'll keep the new one. Make a red. Play the Mox Opal. Say no, no, and no. And then Grape Shot our opponent for 21. Hypothetically, let's say our opponent plays a Solitude. Something you could do is level up your Artist Talents after the Grape Shot is done resolving, and then Pyrite Spellbomb them for some number, like 5 or something. Because you could level up multiple Artist Talents. Alright, so we got game number 1 over Death and Taxes. We'll bring in Boomerang Basics and the Haywire Might. I do know, so I've been studying these new Death and Taxes builds. They're on 4 Pyroblast. So I don't think you want to board out all of the defense grids, maybe 2. They're on 4 Pyroblast, 4 Deafening Silence, and like 1 Mindbreak Trap. You could also like think about slowing down a touch and getting rid of Rite of Flame and just being more resilient, which might not be a terrible idea because Boomerang Basics makes mana during your combo turn anyway. And then we'll bring back in like 1 defense grid or a Dismember. I'm willing to try this. Alright, so we've opened up a turn 1 Gamble hand. If they play a turn 1 Deafening Silence, this hand just crumbles. And I'd like to note that even if they don't, this hand requires you to gamble for Diamond, win that gamble, and then spend another turn gambling for Echo. I think we should just mulligan. Alright, so here you would bottom the Grape Shot, and then you could like turn 1 Defense Grid or turn 1 Artist Talent. I think that's okay. We'll bottom the Grape Shot. They play a Plateau, Grafdigger's Cage. Okay. The 3rd Artist Talent. Let's play Chromox, imprint Artist Talent, and then we'll play an Artist Talent. Pass the turn. They fetch with Arid Mesa for a Stoneforge Mystic. Sure. They find a Meteor Sword. So I think that means we want to kill the Stoneforge Mystic. Let's play the Lion's Eye Diamond, and I'm going to get rid of the Defense Grid. Stock up is a reasonable find. We'll kill the Stoneforge. I go to 16. Pay the red. I think I'd prefer to get rid of the Artist Talent because stock up digs. And now we'll play Urza's Saga. Pass the turn. They play an Elegant Parlor. Surveils away Aether Vial. And it looks like they're just passing. So this is an interesting spot. I could start making constructs, or I could stock up into Pyroblast. I could also level up the Artist Talent. I think I'm actually going to pivot into Construct Beatdown, because I doubt that they're going to be able to keep up with that post board. Like, there's a good chance they boarded out Solitude and Swords to Plowshares. Alright, they play a pre-war Form Aware. This will get back the Stoneforge Mystic, so next turn they can play the Meteor Sword. I think, in hindsight... Wait, did they not do it? Oh, they can't because of the Grafdigger's Cage. Our opponent in chat said, ouch. And I just responded with, combo! Grafdigger's Cage and pre-war Form Aware will make a construct. If I was playing in real life, I would have missed that. I did not even consider their own card stopping them. And now we'll make another construct. And I think we'll just grab Pyrite Spellbomb. And now we'll go to combat and attack for 5. I could play out the Chromox and deal 1 more. I just don't think it's going to matter, if I'm being honest with you. So I'd rather wait and see what they do. Recruiter of the Guard. Okay. They find an Ajani Nikatl Faria. So that makes 2 blockers. And then they'll get a Planeswalker when the cat dies. So something you could do, and I'm just talking out loud here, is you could kill the cat on purpose to transform the Ajani to take away a blocker. So then they only have 1 blocker, which would be the Recruiter of the Guard. Let's play Ancient Tomb. If I gamble for Grape Shot, I could kill Recruiter of the Guard and the cat, which would transform the Ajani, and then they have no blockers. So we'll gamble for Grape Shot here. Get rid of the stock up. So my thought with getting rid of the stock up here is I want artifacts, because if I discard the Chrome Mox, it's a little awkward. We'll select the Grape Shot, and I did discard the Chrome Mox, unfortunately. And now I can kill the Recruiter of the Guard. We'll discard the gamble. And now we'll... Okay, they just conceded the match. Simian Spirit Guide, oddly enough, a wonderful draw because of the Pyrite Spellbomb. It would have put them to 1 here, though. So... I don't know, maybe, based on how things played out, maybe I should have played out the Chromox the previous turn, but then maybe my gamble odds would have been worse, and it wouldn't have worked at all. So, who knows, but what I do know, we have 2 match wins. I love that. Alright, so there's 3 rounds remaining, hopefully we get those as well. Stick around for the 3rd match. Looking to make playing your favorite combo deck much easier? Look no further than the Epic Storm Mini Combo Pack, which is available at theepicstorm.com/shop for $15.99. This token combo pack comes with 84 double-sided tokens featuring classic Storm and Mana tokens, with new inclusions such as our modern Ruby Storm package. But that's not all. Our token pack covers a variety of formats from Pauper to CDH with new tokens. Stop on by theepicstorm.com/shop and make an easy decision to elevate your combo game. For round number 3, we're on the draw. Our opponent's Goldfish history's varied, but it's always blue decks. So we have a defense grid. We could even play it turn 1, but we only have the 2 mana sources, with one of them being Simian Spirit Guide. So a Wasteland would be really bad for us here. I kind of like the hand, though. Like, our deck is full of mana. Let's just draw more of it. So I will keep. Also, if we can resolve the Artist Talent, which is a big if, but if we do, Diamond could help dig for another land. They play an island and ponder. They did not shuffle, so they kept the cards. Ancient Tomb, what a draw. Alright, so let's just slam the turn 1 defense grid. They're thinking about this, which means they probably don't have days. Okay, and even if they did have days, by the way, we had Simian Spirit Guide. That was my backup there. They play Flooded Strand, gamble. So I could take a guaranteed spin right now of Echo of Eons, or I could go Artist Talent, Diamond, trigger, and hope to hit another red mana source for the gamble. I think I'm a coward, and I'm going to just spin the Echo here. We'll play Lion's Eye Diamond, exile the Simian Spirit Guide, gamble. I've loved the Spirit Guide so far this league. Really, really impressed with them. Maybe you could add more. I'm not sure. But so far, I've been a big fan of the 2 in the deck. And now we will flashback Echo of Eons. Storm is 3. Okay. That is very good. So we'll play Diamond, Mox Opal, and now we have Metalcraft thanks to the defense grid. We'll warp the Quantum Riddler. So we can set up an Echo here with a Riddler in play. We'll draw a card. Okay, and now Rite of Flame, play the Mox Opal, play the Pyrite Spellbomb, and now we'll gamble for Echo, make 3 blue, and we'll flashback Echo. So this Echo of Aeons will draw 8 because of the Quantum Riddler. We had another gamble. So I think you're supposed to gamble for Artist Talent here, because we need to filter some of this in order to enable the Quantum Riddler. So we'll search out Artist Talent, and with 8 cards in hand, it goes to the graveyard. That hurt. We'll play Defense Grid, play Lion's Eye Diamond, and I think we have to pass the turn. Unfortunate. They're going to fetch with Flooded Strand for a Hedge Maze. This could be Omnitel. Oh, it's definitely Omnitel. I think I missed a pretty important window there. Hopefully we're not dead. They play Lotus Petal. I suppose I could have just gambled for another Echo. I don't know. Our deck has no way of beating the One Ring. Another way that Burning Wish is good. I'm just throwing it out there. Burning Wish beats the One Ring. They have 5 cards in their hand. Saga goes to the second chapter. We'll play another Saga, I suppose. Let's make a blue. We'll play a Mox Opal. Make another blue. Tap the Saga that doesn't work. I'm trying to maximize damage plus drawing here. I feel like it might honestly be better to just play out both copies of Chrome Mox and then get rid of the Lion's Eye Diamond. So now we'll make 3 blue. Play the Quantum Riddler. And now we'll pass. I have to continue to hope that we're not dead. There's a world in which you spin Echoes a bunch of times, and then you set up like quadruple. I'm just saying this world exists. You set up like quadruple Artist Talent plus Pyrite Spellbomb in their upkeep, but that still doesn't deal lethal. So that doesn't work either. Yeah, I'm like, the point in this game where I'm really trying to reflect back on was, did I make a mistake by gambling for Artist Talent instead of just grabbing another Echo? They're at 9 cards in hand. I mean, the odds are that they have found the combo by now. They play a Stock Up. Really need them to just miss. Or for their Show and Tell target to be like a Troxa or Emrakul. Here's 3 mana for the Show and Tell. Okay. And it's Omniscience. We're dead. Are we dead? I mean, without another Emrakul, I could theoretically win when I untap. Pretty unlikely, but it's possible. They draw off the One Ring. They're at 12. They play another Stock Up. I'll just hit the 0 key, yield until the end step. Now they attack. We'll get rid of Ancient Tomb, Chrome Mox, the Saga on 1, Pyrite Spellbomb. Actually, hold on. They have so much mana. Should I just get rid of the defense grids? I think the answer might be yes. And Pyrite Spellbomb. And I'll go to 1. And they had the second Emrakul. Okay. We can go to the next game. Yeah, I mean, I guess I messed up with the gamble, just not grabbing another Echo. We'll bring in Spider-Punk, aka Kraza the Swarm, as 1. But I think we want Hope of Girapur. There's some utility to Haywire Might. We definitely don't need Pirate Spellbomb. This deck is just so bad against the One Ring. We need 3 cuts. My gut tells me it's like double Simian Spirit Guide and a stock up. We'll try this. On the play. So it's turn 1 defense grid, which might not even be good enough. But then when your Saga goes off suspend on turn 3, you can get a diamond, but do you draw a red source for the gamble by then? This hand is very close. I think we could do better, though. No red source. Ouch. They kept 7. I don't think we're allowed to keep this. So it's Spider Punk, but our mana sources are Chrome Moxes. Alright, so I'm going to hope for the best here. I'm going to imprint the Artist Talent and just play a turn 1 Spider Punk. So the game plan would be that we draw into a gamble or a Echo of Eons naturally. We'll play the Spider Punk. They're resolved. I don't know if the mode here matters. I'm going to choose a +1 counter, and I'll pass the turn. So they could, in theory, have Force of Vigor in their deck, so I'm not going to play the diamond. I don't think there's any punish for me holding it in my hand. So there is a line on here which damage can't be prevented, which is nice and all. That said, the only way that it beats the One Ring is if you already have a bunch of creatures in play, because you still can't target them with Grape Shot or Pirate Spellbomb. We'll pass the turn. They play a Grafdigger's Cage. So now Echo doesn't do it, but Runehorn Hellkite would. We'll swing. They're at 14. They find land number 2 for another Grafdigger's Cage, okay. Another Mox Opal. Get in there. They go to 11. And they search out a Hedge Maze, so now they're at 10. They kept a card on top, which is not good for me. They play a Ponder. Mistrise Village is their land. So next turn they have Show and Tell mana. We need something here. That is in fact something. We'll begin by attacking. We'll play Lion's Eye Diamond. They're at 7. Play a Mox Opal. And now we have the mana here to play a stock up. The question is, what is it going to do with double Grafdigger's Cage in play? So I could take the gamble for... Okay, so what I could do is I could take Gamble Diamond, and that gives me Runehorn Hellkite with 1 open mana. They're at 7, so the Grape Shot doesn't do lethal. Alright, I think it's Gamble Diamond, and then we go grab Runehorn Hellkite. Play Lion's Eye Diamond. Play Mox Opal. So another question is, like, do you use the Opal? Because Opal could be blue or red. But in order to Runehorn Hellkite, we're going to need both Lion's Eye Diamonds. So you're going to lose Metalcraft at some point. So then you need another 0 off your new draw 7. Or else that Mox Opal does nothing. There's 16 zeros in our deck. We already have 6 of them. So I think I'm going to tap the Mox Opal. We'll play the gamble. And I will grab a Runehorn Hellkite. Let's draw 7. Runehorn Hellkite activation on the stack. I would take like Mana Source plus Grape Shot, by the way, from here. That would be delightful. They discarded Eureka, Omniscience, Force of Negation, Emrakul. So this is all going to shuffle in. And we hit Mana Source Grape Shot. We did it. They're going to brainstorm with the Emrakul shuffle on the stack. Alright, Emrakul shuffles. We'll play Rite of Flame. I do not have the mana to play Defense Grid first. Let's Grape Shot for 10. The beatdown from Spider Punk mattered here. And it looks like the copies of Grape Shot are resolving. There is a card that could have beaten us there, and it is Mindbreak Trap, which is seeing some play in these Simic Omnitel decks. We got away with one there. I was not expecting to win that. So now we're on the draw for game 3. Do we want like Boomerang Basics for the cages? I don't think that we do. I'm going to resubmit. We have Haywire Might. I think that's just fine. This is a hand. It requires you drawing another artifact for Mox Opal and the defense grid resolving. But I'm going to keep. They have a Polluted Delta, Grape Shot. I am going to play Saga first, because if we get a third turn, I'm going to want that Lion's Eye Diamond. They search out a Hedge Maze. Gets rid of a Ponder. That's interesting. They play land number 2. Grafdigger's Cage, unfortunate. I think we have to pivot to Urza Saga Beatdown from here. Saga goes to the second chapter. We'll just pass. So my game plan at the moment is make a construct on the end step, assuming that I'm still alive. Untap, make another construct, play Mox Opal for a green, and our target off of Urza Saga is going to be Haywire Might. And hopefully Haywire Might buys us enough time for the constructs to win. They play Ponder. And it looks like I'm not dead yet. Maybe I should have played out an opal last turn in case they try to counter my opals to stop Haywire Might. Spider-Punk will make another construct, and they're going to consign my trigger. Okay. We'll play Ancient Tomb, play Defense Grid. That resolves, we'll play a Mox Opal. They're at 19. I could cycle the Mox Opals and then Grape Shot for 6. I could also play Spider-Punk and give it haste. So my attack is going to bring them to 15. Assuming that they're still 4/4s next turn, I would be 7 damage short. So I think the best line here is actually the Grape Shot line, because next turn I can play the Spider-Punk and give it haste. And then that can be the difference maker. So Grape Shot for 5 brings them to 14. The attack brings them to 10. And then Spider-Punk can deal the final damage. Please don't kill me. Please do not kill me. Another cage. Okay, so Spider-Punk could be lethal here. Play Spider-Punk. Give it haste. Wow, we got there. We got there. 3-0. Came back from my misplay in game number 1 and got the victory. Holy moly. Construct beatdown. Got the job done versus Omnitel. I'll take it. We are now 3-0. The Gold Sabertooth times the Epic Storm collection has arrived with 3 full-size tokens showcasing the beloved Dark Ritual, CDH Rogsai, and Legacy of the Epic Storm for just $5. On the backs of these tokens, there's a place for my signature or a custom message. In addition to these sweet tokens, a friendly reminder that all orders that ship from theepicstorm.com also come with a signed Storm token from yours truly. Alright, match number 4 on the draw. We've opened up a hand that empties itself into the Quantum Riddler. I'm willing to try this. I don't know how good it actually is, but it seems fine enough to me. And if this isn't the type of hand that you can keep, I don't think this card should be in the deck, because what I've been told is that, you know, it's really good when you're low on resources. We're going to put ourselves low on resources and see if that's actually true. Whoops, not trying to click on stock up. Play the Mox Opal. They're thinking about this. Are you going to daze it? They're fetching in response. They might be dazing my Mox Opal. And they are. So we will pay for the daze, and now go to my second main phase, so their blue mana will leave their mana pool. We'll play Chrome Mox, imprint, Quantum Riddler. I don't think we want double Riddler. We'll play Lion's Eye Diamond, and then let's draw 2 cards using the Quantum Riddler. Urza Saga was a wonderful draw, and we'll pass the turn. Okay, that was not terrible. They have a Wasteland. That kind of hurts. 6 cards in their hand. Grape Shot was not a very good draw. We're going to try playing a stock up here. They force will exiling Murktide Regent. We will pass the turn. They play an island and Tamiyo. We'll try Defense Grid. That one resolves. Okay, so we need more mana here, so I can play the stock up to help find an Echo of Eons. They play an Urza Saga and a Standstill. Spicy deck today. Okay. Ancient Tomb. That does play the stock up. Even leaves me with a red mana available for a possible gamble in Echo of Eons. Tamiyo will transform thanks to Standstill. Lovely interaction. Stock up. We did not hit. We did not hit an Echo. We did not hit a gamble. What I could do here is take an Opal and then kill the Tamiyo. So we'll take Mox Opal and an Artist Talent. And then blue to blue, we'll play Mox Opal. Do I even want to do that, or should I just play the Artist Talent? I think I'm just going to play Artist Talent. We'll pass. Urza Saga goes to the second chapter. Tamiyo goes up to the... goes up to 4 loyalty. They have another Wasteland here. Devastating. Okay. So they could Force of Will Quantum Riddler if I play it. That would be the fear with this play. But they also might just be holding it open to make a construct. We'll play the Ancient Tomb. Make 3 blue mana. Let's play the Quantum Riddler. If they have another force, it's going to hurt, but I think it's the correct line. And they do. Unfortunate. We have to pass. They did not make a construct here. They grab a Soul Guide Lantern. This can exile the Grape Shot. Ooh. That was not a line that I considered before playing the Quantum Riddler. So there is a way that we can still win. You can echo multiple times and put a bunch of Riddlers in play. Or you could try leveling up Artist Talent multiple times and then using the Pyrite Spellbomb. Gamble, a good draw here. It allows us to echo, assuming they don't have we know that they have another force in their hand. They got it back with the Tamiyo. I'm 1 mana short of Runehorn Hellkite. There just has to be Echo. And then we'll play the Echo and they'll force it, I suppose. And they do. Pass the turn. I think this game really came down to, and I don't think like my Quantum Riddler play was that huge, like choosing to play it off the diamond. I think it came down to the stock up not hitting an Echo or a gamble with 5 looks. They're choosing to hold open double wasteland again. I think I just have to pass. So they can make a construct on the end step. And now they can untap and make another, and they could double waste me. They grab Aether Spellbomb, and then they draw a card off it. They plus the Tamiyo. And this says that they have a third force in their hand, the fact that they're not doing anything here. Let's try another stock up. I don't want to get rid of the diamond. I think I want to keep it. And that is a third force of will. Pass the turn. Oh, I should... I don't know. Should I have leveled up the Artist Talent? It would have put me to 7. Now they're going to waste me. They return Force of Will with the Tamiyo. Let's warp the Quantum Riddler. Looks like they are going to Force of Will here. Okay. They got rid of a Brazen Borrower. And now they play a Brainstorm. So it looks like they're mono blue. Another way that this game played out is I think I would have been better off if I did, in fact, kill the Tamiyo with Grape Shot. I just didn't know the game was going to play out this way. It was just like an error in hindsight. We'll play the diamond, loot away the Pirate Spellbomb. And we did not hit an Echo. So we lose, and we'll go to the next one. Okay, so could have gone better, but there's still, you know, a couple more games. We definitely want Spider-Punk. I think I want the Haywire Might. Likely want Hope of Girapur. And then let's board out Rite of Flame and just slow down a touch. You could argue that maybe you want Boomerang Basics. I'm not sure if I feel strongly about that. It would likely come at the cost of Simian Spirit Guide. I'm going to just submit this. On the play for game 2. This hand is not keepable. I don't think we're allowed to keep this. We're going to 5. Alright, so in a perfect world in which your Hope of Girapur works, this is a turn 3 Echo protected by Hope of Girapur. We'll bottom Gamble and Echo. We'll play Saga and Hope of Girapur. Alright, we just need a Lion's Eye Diamond. They have Wasteland. We'll play another Urza Saga. Haywire Might. Send in the Pain. Fluted Delta. And Ponder. Alright, still hoping for that Lion's Eye Diamond here. Pirate Spellbomb. We'll play the Pirate Spellbomb. Winged. Need them to not have it in this spot. Alright, so Saga goes to the 3rd chapter. We'll float a colorless. Alright, no consign to memory. Let's go to combat. Attack for 2. Looks like Hope of Girapur got in there, so we'll sacrifice it. They cannot cast non-creature spells until my next turn. So including their turn, they cannot play non-creature spells. We'll flash back the Echo. This does not do it. Okay, let's draw a card using the Pirate Spellbomb. Okay, it's not terrible, but I do have to pass here. They play Polluted Delta and Tamiyo. They're trying to play a spell, but they forgot about the text on Hope of Girapur. I would really like an Ancient Tomb or something like that here. Ding. Alright, so now we can play Spider-Punk. They have the Hydroblast. I think we'll just pass the turn. Wasteland. Okay. And now they play a Standstill. They swing. Ouch. We'll attack with the Haywire Might. And unfortunately pass the turn. Another Wasteland. They draw off the Clue. And again. So now the Tamiyo will transform. I think I'm supposed to sit on this Ancient Tomb. I mean, you could use the Haywire Might on the Standstill. Another thought is you let them ultimate the Tamiyo and then discard their hand with the Runehorn Hellkite. But that's turns away. We'll pass for now. They plus the Tamiyo. You draw a Spider-Punk. We'll continue to pass. The Tamiyo's now at 8. They discard a Ponder. We'll play the Urza Saga. Pass the turn. I think the Ancient Tomb has more value than the Saga does. So I'm going to keep the Ancient Tomb for that reason. Let's see if they ultimate the Tamiyo here. They do. They destroy my Urza Saga. And now they play their own Urza Saga. Let's attack and kill the Tamiyo. We'll play the Ancient Tomb and pass the turn. Saga goes to the 2nd chapter. They play another Wasteland. Surprise, surprise. And I do feel like I'm supposed to use the Runehorn Hellkite now. Because if I don't, I'd have to get rid of the pedal too. So I will Runehorn Hellkite. You have 28 cards in your hand. How many will you have? you have a Stifle in your deck? It looks like they might. I wasn't expecting Stifle. I thought Consign to Memory for sure, but this is not a triggered ability. All right, they're going to Brainstorm. Get rid of their own Standstill. Probably wants to hide a couple forces on top. All right, and now we get a new hand. The Wasteland will now resolve, and I did not hit mana, like, at all. They have 12 cards left in their deck. We'll make red. Let's play a Mox Opal. And let's try a Hopegirper. They're going to Consign to Memory. The issue is that this Urza Saga is going to kill me. So I could try to Haywire Might, but they could still... I guess now they can't. But then I don't have another artifact for Metalcraft. I'm going to try to gamble here. I'm not sure what the play is. Maybe it's like Lotus Petal? I don't know. Or Chromox. It's probably Chromox. We discarded the Chromox anyway. Alright, I'll play an Opal. Alright, this is a risky play. I'm going to go after their Saga here. My hope, and maybe this is just wishful thinking, is that they don't have any more win conditions left, because it seems like a deck with not a lot of win conditions. That was a terrible draw 7, though. Like, where was my mana? They have another Saga. Oh, they play a Standstill. That Echo does not help me. Yeah, why didn't I count their Sagas? There's one. Yeah, there's only one Saga. Why did I make that play? It didn't make sense. Alright, so I'm going to just pass here. They make a 1/1. Now they make another Urza Saga construct. They grab Soul Guide Lantern. They go after my Pyrite Spellbomb. So I'll take 3 here going down to 15. We'll play Volcanic Island. And I think I'm going to just pass. So they have 8 cards in their deck. With them having Standstill in play, you could theoretically get them down to like 5, but that's not enough. You actually need them to deck out. So I'm not sure how we would possibly do that. I'm at 9 now, so I have to do something meaningful this turn. We'll play the Lotus Petal. This will trigger the Standstill. And that just resolved. This hand is just so clunky. I don't think I can win this. We'll try a Stock Up. It would have to be like Ancient Tomb plus Diamond. They just hardcast a Force of Negation. We'll pass. So now they can attack for 6. They have a Null Rod. I was not expecting that. And Urza Saga is not good enough. Alright, so we lost match number 4 to Mono Blue Standstill. Anything can happen in Legacy. We're now 3-1. The best Legacy podcast? That would be Eternal Glory featuring myself, Bryant Cook, alongside Brian Koval and Phil Gallagher. We're available on all major podcast platforms and YouTube. The final match on the play. Alright, so we can turn 1 Stock Up, digging for a diamond for this Echo. I'm willing to try this. We'll play the Chromox, imprint Rite of Flame, play the Lotus Petal, play the Mox Opal, float a blue, we'll play the other Mox Opal. You could sacrifice the Lotus Petal, but then you have to hit another artifact with the Stock Up. And now we'll Stock Up. Storm is 5. Okay, so I don't know what our opponent's playing, but if we take Diamond Grid, my Echo could be protected next turn. So I think I'll play the Diamond. We'll pass the turn. Grove of the Burn Willows. Lands. Okay. If I had known it was lands, I would have sent on turn 1. Main deck Soul Guide Lantern. Okay. Goes after my Stock Up. Gamble. So you could gamble for another diamond here, but if you discard the Echo, you're in trouble. So I think instead you're supposed to just spin the wheel and not try to produce more mana using the gamble. You're also not allowed to discard your Grape Shot anymore. Ooh, that was bad. Oh, that was real bad. Okay, I think we're supposed to just play a grid. I think you're actually supposed to play both grids. And then next turn you can gamble for Echo. Okay, that hurt. They play Mox Diamond. Gets rid of Grove of the Burn Willows. Urza Saga. And Dark Depth, so they're representing lethal. Okay, Quantum Riddler. We'll play the Lotus Petal. I have to win from here. So I don't think we can afford to play the Riddler. I'll play the gamble. We'll grab an Echo. We're going to have 1 open mana, which is not a lot. So we need like a perfect 7. Okay. So this spins again. But I don't have the ability to play out Artist Talent first because I don't have the red mana. So all things considered, that was a decent Echo. We'll gamble. They do have 5 open mana, which is not enough to cast a spell. But if they had like a Boseiju, they could use that here, or an Otawara even. They also have the Soul Guide Lantern, not that it's super relevant in this spot. They pause for a long time and then let the gamble resolve, so after this Echo, we're going to have 1 left. Also, I just realized I was at 21 from the Grove of the Burn Willows. I wasn't actually dead to Dark Depths, but now that I'm tapping this Ancient Tomb, I am. So why would I tap the Ancient Tomb then? I think leaving open my colors of mana is more important here. And I think if this fizzles, we're probably not winning anyway. So I'm going all in on the ability to win off this Echo. And if I was my opponent here, I would use the Soul Guide Lantern. Removing 2 gambles, 2 Lion's Eye Diamonds, and an Artist Talent is pretty juicy. And they just let it resolve. Okay, so we found the Grape Shot. My Storm is not nearly high enough. But I think we're supposed to play Artist Talent. And then I can write a Flame, which will make 2 mana, and I get to loot. We'll discard Ancient Tomb. There's no point in discarding the Runehorn Hellkite when it could imprint to a Chromox later. Defense Grid was not a good draw. Oh boy. So I guess I'm supposed to Quantum Riddler for a card here. And then we need that card to trigger Artist Talent for free. I think I'm going to use double blue. I need the red mana here. Alright, Quantum Riddler. And we bricked. Unfortunate. Even with 5 mana floating, or 7 wasn't good enough. It's worth noting Quantum Riddler here cost us 2 mana and was draw a card. Like, this loss, this game, I think, is on Quantum Riddler in this spot. Like, if it was a Burning Wish, we'd be in a better situation. I can't Grape Shot, or else the Soul Guide Lantern makes me lose. So the best thing I can do here is Defense Grid and hope to hit, like, a Lotus Petal. So that way we can keep going. Nope. Alright, we lose. Next game. 2 mana draw card. So they are on the red build of lands that has Pyroblast in the sideboard. So I think we need to leave in Defense Grid. We do want some number of Boomerang Basics because their deck contains Damping Spheres. I think I'll cut 1 Defense Grid. Actually, we'll cut 2 Defense Grids. And I'll try this. Alright. On the play. So we can gamble for Diamond off of Spirit Guide. And then gamble for Echo. I mean, I'm going to keep this. You need a lot of things to go right, but we'll try it out. Best case scenario, you discard the stock up to the gamble. Exile the Spirit Guide, we'll play gamble. Select Lion's Eye Diamond. Discards Lotus Petal. Okay, I mean, we do get to Echo here. It's just, I would have liked to have the Lotus Petal. And now we'll play gamble. Go grab Echo of Eons. And we'll spin. Storm is 5. We have to pass the turn. They play Mox Diamond, discards a Forest, Grove of the Burn Willows, 2 mana for a Disruptor Flute. Okay. And they name Lion's Eye Diamond. I think I'm going to just play stock up this turn. I thought about playing Defense Grid, but they didn't leave open any red mana. We'll take the Rite of Flame. I don't need double Artist Talent. Maybe the Boomerang Basics. And then we'll go to cleanup and discard, like, Urza's Saga. They play Besiju Who Endures. Into Expedition Map. Soul Guide Lantern. Okay. Play the Defense Grid. And then I think we want to play Artist Talent. Or do you? It's not letting me untap. That's annoying. So I could go SSG, Rite of Flame Talent. So my original thought, yeah, well, I don't know why it's not letting me untap Spire of Industry. I haven't taken any game actions. But I could go Simic, Spirit Guide, Rite of Flame, Artist Talent, gamble with the floating mana. Or I could Boomerang Basics my Opal. We're just short on mana this turn. Like, maybe I'm just not supposed to go. We'll just play the talent. Pass the turn. Our opponent thought for a while and then passed the turn. Is this a 3 mana Force of Vigor? It looks like it is. And they leave the Defense Grid. Okay. We draw Diamond. Alright, so I can do something meaningful this turn. We could bounce the Flute and then gamble for Echo. We'll play the Diamond. There's no downside because I still have the Defense Grid in play. Use the Simian Spirit Guide, play the Rite of Flame. And now we'll gamble. This grabs Echo of Eons. And I will leave some blue mana floating. And we'll use the Ancient 2 mana, so I'm at 12. Okay. Let's play Rite of Flame. Rite of Flame. We're going to use the Soul Guide Lantern. That's fine with me. And now we'll stock up. Maybe I should have used the Saga there. That was bad. We'll take Quantum Riddler and Lion's Eye Diamond. So I think I'm going to play the Riddler now. You could play out all your artifacts and then Riddler with just gamble in hand to draw 2. but I don't know how useful that's going to be. And the reason I was hoping to do it here, which it didn't work my way, is that I could draw an imprintable for Chrome Mox, and then that would matter a little bit more. But drawing Mox Opal just made that irrelevant. And now we'll gamble, grab an Echo, we'll make blue and red, and now we'll draw 8 cards because of the Quantum Riddler in play. Term is 17. Can I win a gamble? Gamble with 8 cards in hand again. We'll select a Grape Shot. Alright, we win that one. We'll make a red, play Mox Opal. And they're at 20, and this is a Grape Shot for 20. So in this game, Quantum Riddler drew 2 cards, one on entry, one off the Echo. So this is sort of what I was talking about in the deck tech, where it's lackluster unless you're exactly doing the thing. In match 1, we did the thing. We had Artist Talent plus Quantum Riddler. But when you don't have both, and when you don't, like, even the game we lost, we had both, but we couldn't get our hand empty in our draw 7 deck. So you need to be able to get your hand low, and you have to have both pieces. It's just a lot of what ifs. And then in the meantime, Quantum Riddler is very medium on its own. Like, I'm still not convinced this card belongs. Like, it was pretty good in match number 1. Like, I'm willing to admit that. It wasn't amazing, but it was fine. And then it's been a little weird since. Another nice thing about Burning Wish is the game we lost due to not having Grape Shot, that would never have happened. We also could have beaten the One Ring. Burning Wish opens up a lot of possibilities. I'm going to send it back. Same 75. The final game. On the draw, we'll keep. We play Yavimaya, Cradle of Growth, Exploration, Windswept Heath. We will play... I mean, I could try to turn 1 the defense grid. I just don't think that's a great idea. We'll play Saga and pass. They have a Taiga and Thespian Stage. So we're currently dead to a crop rotation. Saga goes to the second chapter. I'm wondering if I can bait them here. So if I go SSG grid and then see if they try to crop rotation in response. And then if they do, oh no, that doesn't work either, because they could just wait till the end step. All right, well, they didn't. So no punish there. But that could have been bad for me. That could have been real bad, because they could have just responded, and then I would have been dead to a Dark Depths. We'll pass. It looks like they do have the crop rotation, and they just decided to not cast it. Wow, I got away with one. They grab a Wasteland. They destroy my Saga. They have the Dark Depths in hand. Okay. 2 cards remain. So we're dead if they have Pyroblast. And currently, my gamble would need to discard the Echo. So we need a lot of things to go right in this spot. I actually don't even have mana to flashback the Echo, even if we were to discard it. So we'll play the Opal. I think I have to try to Boomerang Basics into something here. Runehorn Hellkite. That doesn't do it. I think we're dead. Boomerang Basics being a sorcery here was relevant. I mean, in general, I think Boomerang Basics is much better, especially in an Artist Talent deck, but against lands specifically, it was more awkward. Alright, so we did not beat lands. And in my opinion, it came down to Quantum Riddler not doing anything, or not being good enough. 2 mana draw card was a little lackluster. I don't want a dogpile. I do think Quantum Riddler was fine in match 1. I also think there's a good chance Burning Wish would have won in match 1. I think Burning Wish would have been more useful throughout the league. That's my own opinion. Tell me if I'm wrong. Maybe I'm being too harsh on the card. If you agree with me, disagree with me, really, provide feedback. I'd love to hear from you. Matthew, thank you for submitting this donation deck. Hopefully you gained a little bit more insight to whether or not Quantum Riddler belongs. Everyone, thanks for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day, and as always, keep storming. Hey you! Yeah, you! Make sure to leave a like, comment, subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. And if you're interested, you can visit theepicstorm.com/donation-decks to see your combo deck here on this very YouTube channel. You can even join me in a video in the Epic tier. It's totally worth it, I promise. And see ya. Thanks for watching.